John preaching the gospel of Jesus Christ here. We were talking about yesterday, we were talking about how the devil comes in to deceive, and I wanted to continue with that, where the serpent was coming in the garden to Eve, and what we see there with the serpent coming and telling Eve, deceiving Eve. And we're talking about Jonadab, how he also came and spoke to Amnon and provided suggestions, and just how he was able to get away with that. And Amnon paid the price. Right? And then this is how we behave, right? When we misbehave, when we do wrong, and how we blame others, right? But God judges us for what we do. And the court system, right? What happens in the court system? In the court system, I guess it depends on varying degrees, but for the most part, Satan will get away, right? The serpent will get away. People like Jonadab, they get away. And so you see how, for example, the speed limit, right, on the highway is 60 miles per hour. If that's the limit where you are. And you have a friend that influences you, that says, hey, 60 miles per hour, that's a joke. Hey, you don't have to do that. You can go 80, you can go 90. 60 miles per hour, that's such a low limit. I mean, who drives that slow? That's ridiculous. Come on, me and my friends, we all drive 90. You can go 90, even though maybe the law might allow, going with the flow of traffic. But the flow of traffic is even 70 at most. But your friend keeps telling you, why do you drive so slow? Man, why? You could get to places faster, save time. 90, it's 90. It's 90, man. And you're influenced. And so you fall to that and say, one day you're driving, say, you know what? He did say 90. And I do. Now you're starting to feel like it is kind of slow, isn't it? Or you might have a day when you're late and you excuse yourself saying, well, my friend said, and when the cops stop you, you can't say, my friend said, right? You get the ticket. You get the ticket. And you could, tell the cop until you're blue in the face, but my friend said, right? And that's what Eve said when she was caught before God, saying, what did you do? And Eve said, the serpent said, and you know what's amazing? God actually judged the serpent. Well, serpent, you're cursed. And so God is so good. Right? He acknowledges you were deceived. But at the same time, just like the cop's going to give you the ticket, God still gave Eve her ticket. Right? So it's interesting what we're seeing here. In the court of law, in the natural, these people, they get away. But my friend, he deceived me. But the judge, right, the cop doesn't care, gives you the ticket only. You might take it to the courts. Judge, listen, the cop wouldn't listen to me. But I'm sure you understand. You're a judge, right? You're wise. My friend, I tell you about my friend, okay? And the judge would shake his head and say, you're not supposed to take that counsel. What does the speed limit say, right? And you'd still lose, right? But your friend is so deceptive. He convinced you to break the law. If he didn't tell you that, you would not have broken the law. So isn't he the one that caused this bad thing to happen? Right? When every man is judged, right, you're accountable for your actions. And we see that in the natural. It's same in the spiritual. Even though in the spiritual there's a more complete accounting. Well, you did influence. And so in the natural, we also see some of that allowance, right? Some of that does play in. It plays back in. For example, if it's something more serious, right? Not just speeding, but if someone's telling you to murder someone, and especially if you're less accountable, maybe you're younger, right? Maybe you might be classified by the state as mentally challenged or something, disabled, right? You can't reason as well. People, maybe the doctor says, yeah, you are at this lower level, right? Although you're 40 years old in your body, we recognize his mind is still at like, that of a 12-year-old. So if someone like him, right, is influenced, then yeah, the courts are going to say, hey, you did it, right? You're the main perpetrator. Or for example, in organized crime, right, they do try to pin it on the top guy, the kingpin, the head honcho, right? They do recognize, okay, so he is causing this. So we have both. We have both, right? But a lot of times, the source is not recognized. It's not counted. It's you. Right? You are still responsible, even in the gangs, right? In the organized crime. Yeah, there might be other circumstances, but they're still going to charge you. What did you do with your hands? And so we have to respect that and understand that. Because today, just like the serpent spoke to Eve in that day, many, many years ago, it still happens today. It still happens today. There's voices talking to you today. And yeah, a brother of mine told me that he doesn't listen to media. He shuts off all these other voices, right? The television and social media. He doesn't open himself to that, right? Because yeah, that's going to make it harder to obey God. It's going to make it hard to preserve your mind, your mindset. And then I told him, yeah, that's true. That's right. That's good to do, because it's hard enough already as it is, even without all that. We're still battling, right? Because there's still spirits in the air. There's still my own flesh, my own sinful flesh that's going to suggest my soul, right? That's going to say, how about we do this? You know what I want? You know what I like? You know what I lust after? It's going to be talking to you from inside, from outside. The spirits saying, hey, give them this idea. Hey, make them feel more of this, right? You just feel a little bit tired. Make him think he's more tired. Oh, I'm exhausted. I can't go to church. Really? Is it that bad? Right? I'm a little upset at the person, and the devil's going to attempt you to say, you're not just a little upset, because remember when he did this too? And doesn't this also upset you? And if we're not sober, if we're not aware, if we're not awake, if we're not reading the scriptures, if we're not constantly engaging the presence of God, we're going to fall prey to that. We're going to be devoured. They're going to put those ideas in, and it'll catch fire, right? And you'll ignite in anger, or in depression, or in fear, or in confusion and timidity. Whatever it is, you need God. God said, all the shields of the earth belong to me. He's your shield. He's your helmet. He gives you a breastplate. He clothes you in armor, in the armor of God, knowing and telling you, letting you have a mind, understanding this is an evil day. I need to wake up. I need to be aware. I need to stand guard. I need to watch and pray. I need to understand that I'm employed to be a watchman. There's enemies. Where are they coming from? What are they doing? And so you get to abide in the joy, right? Because you're not being attacked and you're not suffering. There aren't breaches in your wall. In your kingdom, the enemy isn't running havoc. Right? You're not suffering like the world does. Right? They not only suffer the cancer and the disease and the bruises and the betrayal, but what does that cause? Paranoia about not just what happened, but what might happen now because of all that happened before. Where is it coming from? You don't know now, right? But you know it's going to happen. So what does that do to your heart? Boom, 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 right? Yeah, I need to buy insurance. I need to I need to buy the password protection, identity theft protection. I need to hire security guards. I need a guard dog. I need a fence. I need a sign on my fence that says beware of dog. I need to lock my doors. I need an app that makes sure that I still have my doors locked so that I could control it through the smart device, through Wi-Fi, even when I'm not at home. I need cameras. I need to watch my baby. I need to hear my baby. I need to watch my kids. I need grandma. Where is she? Is she okay? I need everything. Is that okay? Is this okay? Oh, who did this? Right? You might do it. You're my friend, but you're my frenemy. Right? You got to check. Just monitor all the statuses. What does that do to your mind? Right? Meanwhile, God lets us live a life of peace. Oh no, I got that. And he highlights it. He shows you. Right? Someone might say, oh, you left your door open. I did? Oh my gosh. Right? Did anyone take anything? No one came. All your things are fine. All your stuff is fine. Yeah, David could go to war. And, well, he had people watching and stuff, but I think Manasseh. And, yeah, even God said, when you go to war, your stuff will be taken care of. Your family will be taken care of. Oh, yeah, when people took David's women and children and all their spoils, he recovered all. It said he lost not one good thing. So how can you be paranoid if you live that life? If you see the hand of God on your life to this extent? Right? Same with Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. And God says, that's my name, God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Yeah, you know who I am. You know I do this. I've been doing it ever since these generations and those following, those who continue in the birthright, in the blessing, who continue in faith, who continue as children of Abraham, who do what Abraham does. Not those who don't do what Abraham does. Those who do what Abraham does are those who obey, right? Those who hear and obey, those who believe and count it unto God, right? For goodness, for almighty, for the all-knowing, he'll count it unto you, right? For righteousness. Oh, because you can go forward in that, trusting that I'll have you. You can wait on God when I tell you, don't go to Egypt. And then there's some who will stay and some who will go. Right? Those who go, they'll be punished because God said don't go to Egypt. But Egypt is strong. They could protect us from Babylon. So that would take unbelief to go. When God said don't go, then faith would say, okay, even though, right, it's going to be against all odds, against appearances, that's going to be the setup scenario. Okay, so according to what you know by natural law, this is impossible. All right, now trust in God and do it. And wait on God and see God manifest and prove himself strong. You say, no, I'm not going to give you the opportunity to do that, God. I see an opportunity for me to do it with my own hands. And there will be failure. And so, we live the life of faith. We walk by faith, not by sight, knowing this. Right? God makes faith visible, evident, as we continue to follow on, as we continue to pursue him and seek him. And so we follow and we obey this great God who manifests himself, who proves himself through all these things that he does. He actually does things for his believers. It's not just a God that we believe on that does nothing, right? So in school, there are two phases, two times when this was highlighted. Once when I was learning about the medical field, and they're showing how you write notes on people, and you have to, they call it charting. You have to chart, which is basically documenting, right? Write down what you saw, write down your interaction. You know, the doctor will meet with you and check you up and write down their report. Well, he had a sore throat, and he seemed a little drunk, right? Whatever they're going to write down about his interaction with you. But they can't just say, he seemed like he was angry, right? He seemed like he was paranoid. You can't just say that. They say, there's a format. They say, okay, if you say that, if you make these claims, you have to give evidence. Right? You can't just say he seemed a little suspicious, right? And they say, well, that's vague. Why don't you describe it more? And here's a format. And they say, if you write down a description, for example, he seems suspicious, you have to write the next words are as evidenced by. Right? He seems suspicious as evidenced by his raised eyebrow, right? Or his side look, right? Or he appeared to be jealous of the staff member, the warden, right? As evidenced by, right, his speech, where he would talk about this and this. Or he seemed to be escalated in his emotions of anger as evidenced by, right? So they want you to keep giving evidence, right? No, tell us what you saw, not just what you interpret, what you perceive, but is there evidence, right? Well, yeah, as evidenced by his clenched fist. Right? I could tell he was angry and tense, right? Yeah, describe it. Right? He appeared to be drunk, as evidenced by the alcohol in his breath, right? And the slurred speech. So they train you like that. And then even before that in school, when they're teaching us to write papers, so for me it was difficult to read because they said, hey, you know, all the material that we assign you, it's actually impossible to read everything that we assign you. We actually don't expect you to read everything we assign you. And I was like, I don't understand that. Wait, I'm trying to read everything you guys give me, and I never have time. And they're like, yeah, so we do actually expect you to skim through all this dense material. And I didn't understand how to do that until they explained to me, so here's a technique, right? So most of the time, you see the writing is broken down in paragraphs, and this is a structure. Most of the time, the paragraph is an idea, and the subject will be at the top or at the bottom, the first sentence or the last sentence, usually. So knowing that, then you could just read the first sentence of every paragraph. And if you feel like the idea is not really there, go to the last sentence of the paragraph. And that, yeah, really can help you speed up your reading. And why? Right? Because I realized when they taught me how to write, right? Oh, they're teaching you how to write like that. Right? And they call it a thesis paper, right? Have a thesis, have an argument. Right? What are you trying to argue? What's your point? Right? And they say, oh, that's going to be at the top of your paper. And then you're going to have like 3 things that you say that supports that argument. That's a structure of what they call a thesis or an argument paper. And then, so it's basically the same format, right? This is my argument. This is what I claim, right? I think this, based on, evidenced by these 3, they call it supporting sentences. Right? You need 3 things that support that. You can't just say, well, it's this. Well, you got 5 pages. The assignment is write 5 pages. What are you going to write on? Right? Everything that supports your argument. Right? So, for example, you know, if we're writing on a novel or a Shakespeare, right? And you say the character is Hamlet, right? I think Hamlet was someone who was an insane person, right? Well, prove it, right? Then you're going to give 3 points. Well, first, he has this kind of mentality, and then you're going to have 3 subpoints on that. So everything's supporting the top, right? This is your argument. You have 3 things that you're saying that support that, and then those are broken down into 3 more. Each have 3 paragraphs that support that argument. So, yeah, evidence, right? Evidence. And that's our faith too. You believe in God, where's your evidence, right? I'm a Christian, as evidenced by, right? What's your evidence? You walk with God, as evidenced by what, right? So, yeah, our testimony is going to be those bullet points, right? Oh, well, he did this for me. He showed up on this day. He did this, right? So it's not without evidence. God does not leave himself without witness. But do you believe him? Right? So look at this in Isaiah. He does tell the people, you better wait. You got to wait. I know it looks threatening. I know it's scary. But can you wait? And those that wait, they're going to have a testimony. God's going to show himself strong on the behalf of those that love him and trust him. But it does take faith. It does take a waiting. Right? Because what are the rebellious going to do? They're going to hear that, oh, God wants us to do that. They're going to assess that that's scary to do. We're not doing it. They're going to make a decision saying, I know God said, but me. And the faithful say, I know it's scary, but God. And so he's going to delineate that, show that, line that out, lay that out. Isaiah 30, here, woe to the rebellious children, saith the Lord, that take counsel, but not of me, and that cover with the covering, but not of my spirit, that they may add sin to sin, that walk to go down into Egypt, and have not asked at my mouth, to strengthen themselves in the strength of Pharaoh, and to trust in the shadow of Egypt. Therefore shall the strength of Pharaoh be your shame, and the trust in the shadow of Egypt your confusion. For his princes were at Zoan, and his ambassadors came to Hanes. They were all ashamed of a people that could not profit them, nor be in help, nor profit, but a shame, and also a reproach. Right? He said, oh, you're going to be confused if you do this. Right? It makes sense now, but things are going to start to not make sense. Right? You're going to start to become confused because you won't see the clarity and the peace and the deliverance and the might of God if you trust in your own idea, your own way. This looks good, but ask God, is it good? And the burden of the beasts of the south into the land of trouble and anguish, from whence come the young and old lion, the viper and the fiery flying serpent. They will carry their riches upon the shoulders of young asses, and their treasures upon the bunches of camels, to a people that shall not profit them. For the Egyptians shall help in vain, and to no purpose. Therefore have I cried concerning this. Their strength is to sit still. Now go, write it before them in a table, and note it in a book, that it may be for the time to come, forever and ever, that this is a rebellious people, lying children, children that will not hear the law of the Lord, which say to the seers, see not, and to the prophets, prophesy not unto us right things, speak unto us smooth things, prophesy deceits, right? Tell us what we want to hear. Don't tell us the truth. That's scary. That's demanding. That's taxing. That's stressful. That requires work and a denying of ourselves. We don't want to hear that word. Let's go to that church, this prophet, right, who will speak smooth words. Right? Why can't everyone, speak about these? Don't talk about the coming judgment and how God judges and how we have to do right and how what we're doing is not right. And come on, just make it easy. Be smooth. Give us smoothies. Give us sugar food. Give us things that itch our ears. Massage us. We should have a massage parlor at church. Right? You want to make us feel good, right? We already have the food pantry. You're feeding us. Massage us. Do more, right? That's not what we're doing at church. Right? We're becoming sober. Smelling salts, right? Wake up. Right? Alarm bells, sirens, a deployment, right? An equipping, an armoring, a training, boot camp, right? Be strong, quit you like men, learn to do well. And we don't want that. No. Hey, why so much rigor? Why so much work? Right? Because it's time to work. It's time to get up. It's the daytime. Work. Right? And they're saying, don't tell us that. Don't tell us the truth. Deceive us. They're asking for it. Verse 11, get you out of the way, turn aside out of the path, cause the Holy One of Israel to cease from before us. So this is what they're saying. Wherefore thus saith the Holy One of Israel, because you despise this word and trust in oppression and perverseness and stay thereon, therefore this iniquity shall be to you as a breach ready to fall, swelling out in a high wall, whose breaking cometh suddenly at an instant, and he shall break it as the breaking of the potter's vessel that is broken in pieces. He shall not spare, so that there shall not be found in the bursting of it assured to take fire from the hearth, or to take water withal out of the pit. For thus saith the Lord God, the Holy One of Israel, in returning and rest shall ye be saved. In quietness and in confidence shall be your strength. And ye would not. But ye said, no, for we will flee upon horses, therefore shall ye flee, and we will ride upon the swift, therefore shall they that pursue you be swift. 1,000 shall flee at the rebuke of one, at the rebuke of 5 shall ye flee, till he be left as a beacon upon the top of a mountain, and as an ensign on an hill. So God is showing them, hey, there's going to be a bad end, a bad result to this. He's telling them beforehand. And therefore will the Lord wait, that he may be gracious unto you, and therefore will he be exalted, that he may have mercy upon you. For the Lord is a God of judgment. Blessed are all they that wait for him. For the people shall dwell in Zion at Jerusalem. Thou shalt weep no more, right? Because you will be weeping. There will be a time of trouble. But if you endure, right, he will be very gracious unto thee at the voice of your cry. When he shall hear it, he will answer thee. And though the Lord give you the bread of adversity and the water of affliction, yet shall not thy teachers be removed into a corner any more. But thine eyes shall see thy teachers, and thine ears shall hear a word behind thee, saying, this is the way, walk you in it. And when ye turn to the right hand, and when ye turn to the left, ye shall defile also the covering of the graven images of silver, and the ornament of thy molten images of gold. Thou shalt cast them away as a menstruous cloth. Thou shalt say unto it, get thee hence. Then shall he give the rain of thy seed, and thou shalt sow the ground withal, and bread of the increase of the earth, and it shall be fat and plenteous. In that day shall thy cattle feed in large pastures. The oxen likewise and the young asses that ear the ground shall eat clean provender, which hath been winnowed with the shovel and with the fan. So that was emphasized yesterday at our local gathering here in Covington, Georgia. How Ezekiel also said, in that day. And that was in reference to when the righteous turn from their righteousness and choose to do evil. In that day, right? Their past righteousness they can't trust in. You'll be judged according to what you did, what you chose, the direction that you chose to go in. Oh, you switched. Now you're that. But what about all I know, right? The head of the ship, it turns this way. That's where you're headed. That's where you're going. That's how you're identified. Oh, this plane, this is going to Dubai, right? It doesn't matter if you had 10 hours headed to Los Angeles. As soon as you turn, right? Oh, well, now you're the plane that's going to go there. Oh, this plane, yeah, everyone here is going to Dubai. Right? But when we got on, we were headed toward Los Angeles. Yeah, but it just changed directions. It's headed toward that. And so this is for those that obey. Right? They also have in that day. Right? That those that wait on the Lord. Those that were not tempted by the temporary situation. We want to run. We want immediate comfort. Wait. But if you wait, because God said wait, and if you do what God said, right, there will be a turning of all that. Endure, dark clouds, right? Famine, scarcity. But then, right, oh, those that stayed, those that waited, those that trusted in the Lord, because God said He said he will, and here it is. This is the day, right? Restoration. And all the cattle's coming back, your teacher's coming back, truth coming back, light coming back. Oh, it's for you, for those that could hold on to God, cleave onto God, and say, no, it's true. I still believe it's what he says, and the light comes. Right? Oh, you endured. Oh, you stayed. You held on to God. The oxen likewise, and the young asses that ear the ground shall eat clean provender, which hath been winnowed with the shovel and with the fan. And there shall be upon every high mountain and upon every high hill rivers and streams of waters in the day of the great slaughter, when the towers fall. Moreover, the light of the moon shall be as the light of the sun, and the light of the sun shall be sevenfold, as the light of 7 days. In the day that the Lord bindeth up the breach of his people, and healeth the stroke of their wound, behold, the name of the Lord cometh from far, burning with his anger, and the burden thereof is heavy. His lips are full of indignation, and his tongue as a devouring fire. And his breath as an overflowing stream shall reach to the midst of the neck, to sift the nations with the sieve of vanity. And there shall be a bridle in the jaws of the people, causing them to err. Ye shall have a song as in the night, when a holy solemnity is kept, and gladness of heart, as when one goes with a pipe to come into the mountain of the Lord, to the mighty one of Israel. And the Lord shall cause his glorious voice to be heard, and shall show the lightning down of his arm, with the indignation of his anger, and with the flame of a devouring fire, with scattering and tempest and hailstones. For through the voice of the Lord shall the Assyrian be beaten down, which smote with a rod, and in every place where the ground staff shall pass, which the Lord shall lay upon him, it shall be with tabrets and harps, and in battles of shaking will he fight with it. For Tophet is ordained of old, yea, for the king it is prepared. He hath made it deep and large. The pile thereof is fire and much wood. The breath of the Lord, like a stream of brimstone, doth kindle it. Woe to them that go down to Egypt for help, and stay on horses and trust in chariots, because they are many, and in horsemen, because they are very strong, but they look not to the Holy One of Israel, neither seek the Lord. Right? Yet he also is wise and will bring evil. So he's making a contrast. Yeah, what he's going to do, he's going to rise up and fight for you if you wait on him. He's going to show himself strong for you. And then he's going to talk about, oh, and the disobedient, this is for them, right? Blessings for the blessed, cursings for the cursed, right? Who obeys God, they're blessed. Who disobeys God, they're cursed. Right? That was in Deuteronomy 28, right? If you do this, blessing. If you do this, cursing. And we see that here in Isaiah, right? He's doing it again. He's always showing us, well, you got this, you got this. You got life, you got death. Obey me, life. Obey me, live. And if you don't, death. But I say, live. Right? But who's going to hear? Right? Because he keeps saying that. He keeps expressing his desire for us. My desire is for you to live. Who has ears to hear? Who seeks me? Who desires the same thing I desire and will obey? Right? Will do the work. Will endure. Despite how hard it is, despite how scary it is, who will trust in the Lord and say, no, God is true. Despite all this is a lie. Right? What it seems, no, it's God. It's the word of God. Yeah, but it's time to leave the word of God. It's time to, God is gone. Right? God is dead. No, it's going to come to pass. He said, his word is true. He never fails. He doesn't change. He never grows weak. Never. And he never will. He's looking for those. Is that you today? In Jesus' name.